So after casting the Vedic New Year horoscope of a country, another beautiful thing in the Vedic New Year horoscope is noting down the king of the year. Noting down the king of the year. What is this king of the year? We will try to understand that. But before watching this video, please make sure that you also watched the video how to cast the Vedic New Year horoscope of a country. That video, please watch that. It is also present in the same channel. Now, this is the Vedic New Year for India, right? Vedic New Year horoscope of India is 11:54 a.m. The Lagna is Punarvasu Lagna. Now, is a remarkable feature of Vedic annual horoscope is choosing the king of the year and its allocation of planetary cabinet with portfolios. What is it? So, choosing the king of the year is very much important for Vedic annual horoscope. And also, after choosing the king of the year, its allocation of planetary cabinet with portfolios is also very much important. So the king and the commander-in-chief of the year set the trend of the upcoming events of a country. So generally, even though the planetary positions, of course, Rahu Ketu axis, Saturn Mars positions, Jupiter position, Venus position, these things of course decide the main thing, but the trend is clearly set by the king and the commander in chief. So you need to identify the king and the commander in chief, these two. So 7 planets change portfolio every year. 7 planets change portfolio every year. So these portfolios are a king, a prime minister, a commander in chief, a lord of vegetation, lord of minerals, lord of juices, grain, cattle, etc. So like that we try to identify which is the king of this year, which is the prime minister of this year, which is the commander in chief of this particular Vedic New Year. Like that we try to understand. So the planet which is king in one year may become a prime minister in the next year. It is possible. 7 planets try to change the portfolio generally. So these details generally given in the Panchanga of each year. So we will try to understand how to identify this particular things for a particular Vedic New Year. So before that, we will try to see the role of Sun, Moon, Mars. See, the Sun and Moon are generally the royal planets. If in any year either of these do not become the king, then royalty suffers. In any year, either of this do not become the king, then royalty suffers. Then there is a problem for the ruler. Similarly, Mars is permanent commander in chief. If in any year he does not become the commander in chief, the army and navy suffer. So all these details must be considered, of course, right? So the affliction to royal planets is not an auspicious sign for that year. So if there is any affliction to the royal planets like sun, moon, so the new year started like this, and the royal planets sun and moon, they are not afflicted here, right? At least they are not afflicted. Affliction means if a malefic planet is watching them, like here Saturn is of course watching sun and moon, so it's treated as an affliction. If you treat Saturn as a, generally we see Saturn as a bad planet, that can be affliction. Or you can also say the Rahu Ketu axis, let us say if sun and moon, right, if Rahu is in Pisces and Ketu is in Virgo, or Rahu is in Virgo and Ketu is in Pisces, then that year can be an afflicted sun and moon. There is a problem for royalty, right? So here clearly sun and moon have the impact of Saturn here. Saturn is clearly watching them. The sun is at 17 degrees and Saturn is of course at 27 degrees. So Saturn is clearly watching the 27 degrees of Pisces, which is just 10 degrees away from the actual sun and moon position, but still Saturn's impact can be observed on sun and moon, because even though there's a 20 degree difference, that's not a big difference. So third aspect of Saturn is on sun and moon here. And Mercury, if you observe, it's deeply debilitated as at 15 degree, right? It has the impact sun and moon, which is at 17 degree. So Mercury at 15 degree, the sun and moon at 17 degree, very closest. So a deeply debilitated Mercury is with sun and moon, and the Lagna is also very bad. The Lagna Lord, you see the Midhuna Lagna, Gemini ascendant here. So the Mercury is completely, it's deeply debilitated. It's not a good sign, of course, right? So now let's try to understand how to identify the king of this particular year, a commander-in-chief or prime minister, lord of vegetation. So like those kind of things we will try to identify now. So now let's try to understand how to predict a king of the year. So to predict events for the annual year, that is Vedic New Year, it is necessary to decide on astrological basis planetary cabinet for the particular year. Planetary cabinet in the sense who is the king, who is the prime minister for this particular Vedic New Year, who is the commander-in-chief for this particular year. So the method for formulation of planetary cabinet is actually given in the ancient classical text called as Kala Prakashika. So in that particular book you can clearly find how to find out the king or the Raja of the year. So the cabinet is chosen based on the method given in the book Kala Prakashika. So king of the year, how to identify the king of the year? King of the year and commander-in-chief of the year, these two are very much important. Of course, other planets in the cabinet are also important, but these two play a major role. So there is some controversy regarding choosing this particular king of the year, right? Some Indian panchangas, they use some different systems. What is the most acceptable principle? the most acceptable principle is that Lord of the year should be the Lord of the day on which the Vedic New Year starts. So Vedic New Year starts on Chaitra Shukla Pratipada, as we discussed in the previous video also. So for this purpose, it will be Lord of the day on which first Tidhi of this particular Shukla Paksha starts. So for example, let's take an example for the year 2008. Let's take the year 2008 here. So take the Hindu calendar and go to the date. Here is 2008. So 2008, let's see the April month. Where is the Chaitra Shukla Pratipada? Just after the Amavasya you can find Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. But on the, so Amavasya up to 9:25 am. That is on 6th April 9:25 am Amavasya. Till that time Amavasya is there. So just after that, that means at 9:25 am or 9:26 am you can find the Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. So let me open that. So it is for the year 2008. So April 6, 2008, 9:25 am. 2008, April 6 is 9:25 am or 26 am, right? You can see sun is at 22:45. So this is 20. So let me make it 9:26. So which is going to be the exact match, 22:45, 22:45. Good enough. Sun and moon are in the Pisces. So this particular moon is a very fresh new moon here, right? So clearly 6th April, which is a Sunday here, Chaitra Shukla Pratipada 9:26 am, which is Sunday. So Sunday, who is the Lord for Sunday? Sun, Surya, right? Sun. But the first Tidhi of Shukla, what is the first Tidhi here? The Shukla. So even though this is a Sunday here, it's a 9:26 am, but see, according to the Vedic culture, even though on April 5th, see on April 6th itself, so Amavasya was up to 9:25 am, and after that you can see Pratipada started. It is at 9:26 am itself Pratipada started. But this, what is the Tidhi, what is the day on 6th April? It is Amavasya only, because just after the sunrise happened on at 6-7 am. So Vedic culture considers the day based on so what is the day just after the sunrise? That is going to be the day throughout. So sunrise happened at 6-7 am. So Amavasya was up to 9:25 am. So 6-7 am if you observe. So that's it, done. So Amavasya only throughout 6th April. That is Amavasya only. That is not Pratipada, right? So when Pratipada can start actually, if you see the calendar, the day, the calendar, the 7th, you can see the Shukla Pratipada. Why? Because that day sunrise happened 6 a.m. just after sunrise. So Pratipada is up to 6-9 a.m. So just after sunrise you have Pratipada still. So that is the 7th April is treated as the Shukla Pratipada. So the Tidhi, based on the Tidhi, right? So 7th April is actually the new year. You consider that as the new year, right? So 7th April, if you observe, it is a Monday. So Monday the Lord is Moon. So that's why Moon is Raja or King of the year 2008, you say. So on which day is actually Padimi? Just after the sunrise. That is the most important thing. So according to Kala Prakashika, an ancient classical text, the Raja or King of the year is the planet which is ruling the day, on which Sun enters the first point of Aries. So, but this particular method of choosing Lord of the Year does not find favor with other school of thoughts. So the accepted principle is to make Mantri or Prime Minister Lord of Day on which Sun enters Aries. So here you know how to decide the King of the Year. And now according to Kala Prakashika, the first point of Aries in which Sun enters, that is treated to know the King of the Year, but that method is not accepted by so many astrologers. So at least the Mantri or Prime Minister is decided on the basis of this. So the minister is decided on the basis of the planet which rules the day on which Sun enters first point of Aries. So if you see in 2008, Sun entered Aries on, so the Kala Prakashika thing is different. If you observe, according to most of the astrologers, the rise after the sunrise, what is the day? You need to see that. So after sunrise it is Shukla Pratipada, Chaitra Shukla Pratipada on 7th April 2008. So it's Monday. So Moon is the King of the Year. Now according to Kala Prakashika, the thing is different. You need to check the Kundali on April 6, 2008. That time Sun is not in Aries. The moment Sun enters Aries, that day's Lord is treated as King of the Year according to Kala Prakashika. But people don't consider that also. See, on April 14th, Sun entered Aries. And even more, if you observe, on 13th April, somewhere on 13th April, Sun entered the first point of Aries. So that is at, let me make it, so what is the Sun degree here? 0 degree, just the time entered. So 8:25 p.m. So let me make it 7:25 p.m. 6:25 p.m. okay, something like 6:35, 6:39, okay, 6:35, 6:36 p.m. So on 6:36 p.m. April 13, 2008, Sun entered Aries, first point of Aries. So if you observe this one, So according to Kala Prakashika, the moment sun entered Aries, that day should be treated as the day of the new year, and the lord of that particular day is considered as the king of the year. So on 2008, you can say 13th April, the sun is the king, Sunday, because sun on Sunday sun is the king. So but here, according to most of the astrologers, this particular day's lord is treated as a prime minister, and the king is actually on the Chaitra Shukla Padimi day, Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. On which day Chaitra Shukla Pratipada is occurring after sunrise, that day's lord is treated as the king of the year. So for 2008, the king of the year is moon, and the prime minister of the year is actually the sun. So the prime minister is actually, you can say, is sun, because the day on which sun entered Aries, the first point in 2008, the Sunday, so sun was the prime minister. So if we go by the principle that king is to be chosen right at the start of the Vedic New Year, it must be decided right in the month of Chaitra when sun is in Pisces. It is for this reason that majority of astrologers decided it on the basis of the lord of the day on which the Vedic New Year started. So a principle that king is to be chosen right at the start of the Vedic New Year, so it must be decided right in the month of Chaitra when sun is in Pisces, right? So the moment sun is in Pisces, if you try to see the day, right, so that is also not a fair thing. So the best thing is just after sunrise, which is Chaitra Shukla Pratipada, that day's lord is a king. And the moment sun entered Aries that year, prime minister is the prime minister. That day's lord is prime minister. So either the king must be either of sun and moon for that year, then only it's a good year. The lord of paddy crops is decided on the basis of the planet which rules the day on which sun enters first point of Cancer. So lord of fruits or vegetation is decided on the basis of the planet which rules the day on which sun enters first point of Libra. And lord of mineral kingdom is decided on the basis of the planet which rules the day on which sun entered first point of Capricorn. And lord of clouds is decided on the basis of the planet which rules the day on which sun enters first point of Ardra. Lord of corns is decided on the basis of the planet which rules the day on which sun enters first point of Sagittarius. And lord of fluids is decided on the basis of the planet which rules the day on which sun enters first point of Gemini. It's always the lord of the day on which sun enters so and so sign. So what are the results of the lord of the year? So according to Kala Prakashika and other astrological texts, the results of various planets becoming a king in a particular year are discussed actually. So results are just like a general, they are very general in nature. So the lordship of the planets as per Parashari rule on key planets of the horoscope should be kept in view, of course. Also, attention should be paid to aspects on the planets and yogas they are involved in and their strength as per general rules. So if you see sun, according to some of the astrological texts, kings would be mentally disturbed. So if sun is the lord of the year, then kings would be mentally disturbed. So there will be danger by fire and thieves. So unexpected misfortune will befall rulers and prominent personalities. So there will be prosperity for dishonest traders and distress to common people. So the year will be usually somewhat unusually hot, you can say. There will be little rains and food will be scarce. Kings will be in bad temper. There will be destructive attacks and invasions and mindless violence. Rulers will go about destroying countries in war. According to some astrological texts, rulers will march their troops to other countries and will be victorious. So this whole phenomena happens only when sun is very strong. So according to Varaha Mihira, if you observe, if sun is the king of the year, then earth will yield very little crops. There will be very little water in the rivers and medicines will not have their potency. Even in winter, sun will be extremely warm. Clouds will not pour down sufficient rain. Kings will go about destroying countries in war. So if sun is well placed, the year will be good for happiness to righteous people and bringing prosperity to different people of the country. If you see, sun became lord of the year in 2001 and it was a roller coaster year for Indian economy also. So one of the worst disasters to hit India was earthquake in Gujarat, which was a national disaster and claimed hundreds of lives. When the Tehelka episode shook the Indian political screen, the whole screen, by exposing the corruption amongst politicians and high-ranking army officers. So people lost faith in the economic structure of the government when the premier flagship economic institution Unit Trust of India announced the collapse of US 64 scheme, in which the millions of Indians had invested their hard-earned money. So even the important talks between Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Musharraf broke down. It was a field year for terrorists. The security environments in India became turbulent, you can say. There was also royal bloodshed in Nepal. On the global arena, if you observe, President Bush announced after the attack on World Trade Center that the first war of 21st century has just begun. He announced that time, but of course after that, so they only killed Osama. So when sun is the ruler of a year, so sun is generally so the country will go for wars and there would be less rains, less crops thereby. If moon is the ruler of that particular year, king of the year, then there will be plenty of rains and abundance of all kinds of crops and vegetation and milk, because moon represents all this water, vegetation, milk, liquidity, liquids, everything. So people will be happy, prosperous and religiously inclined. So there will be less crime and justice will be administered properly. So if moon is afflicted, there is national pain caused by some unknown or known problems. There could be a kind of Naxalite movement. Such kind of things may also happen when moon is actually afflicted. If moon is the king of the year, what happens if Mars is the king of the year? Fighting among us the kings and trouble by thieves. There will be plenty of fire accidents and life and property will not be safe. There will be less of food crops and people will be unhappy. Crime rate will also increase. So the Mars, based on Mars is the king of that particular year, how is the dignity of the Mars is very much important. So if Mars is severely placed, then there will be terroristic attacks, wars and all the stuff. So if Mercury is the king of the year, there will be peace and prosperity, rains will be plentiful, stock markets will flourish, it will be good year for artists, publishing industry. Country will have good relations with others, because Mercury denotes relationships of a country with other countries. Also it indicates publishing industry. So people will be truthful and crimes will decrease. So according to Brihad Samhita, writers, artists, musicians and warriors would prosper when Mercury is the king of the Vedic New Year. So there will be much socializing and exchange of gifts. This will be a good year for trade and commerce also, because Mercury denotes trade and commerce. So Vedic studies will be pursued and justice will be dispensed. Rulers will care for the ruled. Studies of yoga, spiritual sciences will be pursued vigorously. So it can be a good year if Mercury is the ruler of a year and then its dignity is good. So there will be abundant growth of herbs in the land. But if Mercury is afflicted, there will be storms and threat of war. Some big battle may also can happen. So Mercury mainly denotes the media and communication also. So Mercury is afflicted and Mercury is the king of a year, then you can see media and communication may have a very bad days. So if Jupiter is the king of the year, then happy times for sacrifices and for learned people. So kings will stay on the path of virtue and people will be religiously inclined. Prosperity and contentment you can see all around. So there will be plenty of food, milk, honey and riches. So rains will be plenty and sugarcane crops will be in abundance. So if Jupiter is afflicted, of course the banking system would be collapsed, tragedy and all those things you can find all over. Venus is the king of the year, then there will be victory and prosperity all around with plenty of good crops and rains. Artists will thrive, people will enjoy, there will be plenty of happiness you can find everywhere. So life would be fun with all types of entertainment. Soldiers will be victorious in battle. New treaties and agreements will be signed by the government. So it's worth noting that in the age in which we live in, with the television and newspapers, uh, so if Venus is afflicted, then it's going to trouble the bliss and happiness of the world for sure. If Saturn is the king of the year, then poor rainfall, trouble by fire and thieves, sinful acts. So this may also result in increase of robberies and frustration and violence by kings, destruction of crops and grains, epidemics, general misery. So there will be strikes and riots, and people will have fear of death also. If you observe, Saturn became the king of the year in 1991. So Chaitra Shukla Padami, that was on 16th March 1991, 1:42 p.m. So the year was full of strikes, discontentment, shortage of food and rainfalls. So this is how you can find the king of the year. So king of the year, you can directly go to the Chaitra Shukla Padami day after sunrise if you have the Chaitra Shukla Padami. So who is the king of that year? The lord of that particular day is the king of the year. So for Sunday the lord is sun, Monday moon, Tuesday it's Mars, and Wednesday it is Mercury, Thursday it is Jupiter, Friday it is Venus, Saturday it is Saturn. Like that you can find the king of the year. Based on that you can find the results. So there are different arguments, as we said. King of the year can be found out just after the Amavasya, the Padami starts, so which day it is starting. So that's going to take, that day's lord is the king of the year. That's one argument. And after the sunrise, you should see what is the day. After the sunrise, if it is Chaitra Shukla Padami, that day must be celebrated as the new year, and that day's lord will become the lord of the year, and based on that you need to tell the predictions. Another thing is in the Kala Prakashika, when sun enters Aries, the moment sun enters Aries, that should be treated as the new year, and the day on which sun enters Aries, that day's lord is the lord of the year. So based on that you need to tell the predictions. So the most acceptable thing is just after the sunrise to see which day is Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. So that day's lord will become the king of the year. So based on that you can tell you that you can check the predictions. So if you observe a 2022 calendar, it's Hindu calendar, it's just take the 2022. So Chaitra Shukla Padami is on Saturday. So clearly Saturn is the king of the year 2022. So there would be poor rainfall. So based on that, so trouble by fire and thieves, so sinful acts, so increase in robberies, frustration and violence by kings, destruction of crops and games, epidemics, general misery. So there will be strikes and riots, and people will have some fear of death. So you can say full of strikes and discontentment, shortage of food and everything, right? So based on that you can say that. So that is one thing. And so if you take this one as, so just after sunrise you have Chaitra Shukla Padami on 2nd April. So 2nd April was treated as the new year. If you see the first, right, 1st April, so Amavasya was up to 11:53 a.m. So 11:54 a.m. onwards you have Padami. So that's on Friday. So Venus, if you take Venus as the king of the year, then as we discussed, those things should happen, but they are not happening. So this method is wrong, you can say. So Saturn is that one. According to Kala Prakashika, if you observe, when the sun entered Aries, so that day must be treated as that day must be treated as a new year. So if that is the case, just see the 14th April and even on 13th April somewhere you can find sun so on 14th April you just take so 1:36 a.m. no, then 2:36 a.m. 3:36 a.m. 4:36 a.m. then 5:36 a.m. then 6:36 a.m. 7:36 then 8:36 9:36. Okay, anyways 14th April, so Thursday, so it's actually Jupiter must be the king of the year based on Kala Prakashika. So Jupiter, so if you see based on Jupiter, but here Jupiter is in Pisces, and but this Jupiter is, you can say, afflicted by Saturn. Saturn is actually watching this Jupiter with its third aspect. So that is one thing to be noted, because that's on Thursday it happened, the new year. So, but according to most of the astrologers, that must be Chaitra Shukla Padami. If Chaitra Shukla Padami, Saturn would be the king, and so you can say if there is a poor rainfall in this particular year and trouble by fire and thieves, sinful acts and strikes, destruction of crops and grains, so much of epidemics, robberies, if you observe all these things, then the Chaitra Shukla Padami, just after the sunrise, that theory is going to be the best technique. Thanks for watching this video.